JJ Okocha on your side, you know that you have a match winner. And in fact, Samueleto is saying he needs to be substituted because he's a danger to our side. That's absolutely fantastic.
If you grew up watching football in the 90s and early 2000s, you'll remember one name that could make stadiums gasp, defenders stumble, and fans fall in love with the beautiful game all over again. JJ Okocha. He wasn't just a player. He was an entertainer, an artist with the ball at his feet. In fact, he was so good they named him twice. From the streets of Enugu to the grand stages of Europe, Okocha built a reputation as the man who played football with joy, creativity, and fearless flair. But how did he become the most entertaining player of his generation? Today, we dive into the story of the Nigerian magician who left the world mesmerized every time he touched the ball. Augustine Azuka Okocha, better known as JJ Okocha, was born in Enugu, Nigeria, in 1973. Like many kids, he learned football on the streets, kicking anything he could find. But even then, his style was different, all about flair, tricks, and joy. He joined Enugu Rangers, where his outrageous skills made him stand out. One famous story recalls him dribbling past an entire defense, rounding the keeper, waiting for defenders to catch up, then beating them all again before scoring. In 1990, during a visit to Germany, Okocha casually trained with a friend's club, Borussia Neunkirchen. The coaches were stunned by his talent and signed him immediately. What began as a holiday kickabout became the start of a legendary career in Europe. In 1992, JJ Okocha signed for Eintracht Frankfurt, stepping onto one of Europe's biggest stages. Germany was known for structure and discipline, but Okocha brought something different: flair, joy, and fearless dribbling. Then came the moment that made him famous. In 1993, against Karlsruhe SC, Okocha dribbled through defenders, toyed with goalkeeper Oliver Kahn, making him dive one way, then the other, before calmly scoring. The crowd was stunned, the commentators lost for words, and Kahn later admitted it was the most embarrassing moment of his career. That goal wasn't just a highlight, it was a statement. Okocha wasn't in Europe to play safe football. He was there to entertain, to remind the world that football could still be pure magic. While Okocha was dazzling fans in Germany, back home in Nigeria, a new footballing power was rising. The 1990s marked the birth of Nigeria's golden generation, a team filled with talent, swagger, and fearless ambition. In 1994, Okocha played a key role as Nigeria won the African Cup of Nations, their second ever. That same year, the Super Eagles qualified for their first World Cup, with Okocha's creativity in midfield helping Nigeria announce themselves to the world. But the true highlight came 2 years later at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. Alongside legends like Nwankwo Kanu and Daniel Amokachi, Okocha guided Nigeria to an historic gold medal, the first African team ever to win Olympic football. They beat a star-studded Brazil consisting of Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, Rivaldo in a dramatic semi-final, and Argentina in the final, shocking the football world. By the late 90s, JJ Okocha wasn't just Nigeria's star, he was the symbol of African football's rise, a player who combined skill with showmanship and carried the pride of a nation on his shoulders. Okocha's rise in Germany soon caught wider attention, and in 1996 he made a move to Turkey, signing for Fenerbahçe. In Istanbul, he became an instant fan favorite, dazzling defenders in the Super League and lighting up the UEFA Cup with his tricks and long-range goals. During his 2 seasons, he scored 30 goals in 62 appearances, an incredible record for an attacking midfielder. Turkish fans loved his flair so much they even gave him Turkish citizenship under the name Muhammed Yavuz. In 1998, JJ Okocha made a big move to Paris Saint-Germain for a then-record fee of £14 million, the highest ever paid for an African player at the time. In Paris, his flair found a bigger stage, and the French fans quickly fell in love with his tricks, dribbles, and audacity. But perhaps Okocha's biggest impact at PSG wasn't just on the pitch. It was on a young Brazilian teammate named Ronaldinho. The future Ballon d'Or winner often admitted he looked up to Okocha, learning how to mix skill with showmanship. In many ways, JJ was the mentor who passed on the art of entertaining football to one of the greatest ever. I was already a household name at PSG when he came, and PSG was his first team in Europe or outside Brazil, and he was 20 years old. So, of course, it takes a while for one to settle in to learn about new cultures. Yes, at some point, I was a bit like a senior brother, talking to him and encouraging him because his talent was obvious for everyone to see. But sometimes you need time to adjust. That was where I played a role, and I'm glad that he appreciated. Though PSG never dominated Europe during his time, Okocha's highlights in France cemented his reputation as one of the most electrifying players in the world. By 2002, JJ Okocha was a global star, yet surprisingly, he chose to join Bolton Wanderers, a club fighting at the bottom of the Premier League. For many, it was a shock. How did a struggling side manage to sign one of the world's most entertaining players? The answer was simple. Sam Allardyce, Bolton's manager, took a gamble. Okocha had just left PSG and was available on a free transfer. Allardyce knew his team needed more than just survival football. They needed a spark, and Okocha was that spark. From the moment he arrived, he lit up the Reebok Stadium. His free kicks, outrageous skills, and fearless dribbles gave Bolton fans moments they never dreamed of. He became captain, led the club to cup finals, and kept them in the Premier League season after season. For a mid-table team, signing Okocha was a miracle. And for Okocha, Bolton became the stage where he proved that even outside Europe's biggest clubs, he could still entertain and inspire. JJ Okocha never won the Champions League. He never lifted the Ballon d'Or. But ask any fan who saw him play, and they'll tell you, trophies weren't the measure of his greatness. Okocha gave football something rarer, joy. He inspired a generation of African players, mentored legends like Ronaldinho, and reminded the world that football is more than just results. It's art, expression, and entertainment. He was so good they named him twice. And long after the goals and tricks fade from memory, JJ Okocha will always be remembered as the magician who made the game beautiful. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more legendary football tales, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss the next chapter in the beautiful game's history.